the success of Tomlinson is built on its people.
Construction industry is very much a family.
Smoother, better, it's more client friendly, it's easier, more productive.
Like, I think just people hear the name Tomlinson, they know what has gotten around of what kind of a company we are, what we offer.
As you look around the city, the name Tomlinson, it's a kind of a testament to that.
Hello, welcome to Red Army Radio. Today we are doing a little bit of a different episode with some members from our senior leadership team to replace our annual town hall. The idea is to look back on our prior year and discuss new opportunities, goals, and what the future holds for Tomlinson. So welcome, everybody. I'm here with Dana, Adam, and Ron. Dana, you want to introduce yourself just for them?
Sure. My name is Dana Lewis. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources. Been with the company for about, I think it's almost 13 years now. Yeah. I'm looking at Adam because he and I started around the same time. So, yeah.
My name is Adam Hendriks. I'm the Vice President for Strategic Implementation and Development. So I've been here on round 2 for 13 years, same as Dana. And I actually worked here a long time ago in the field when I was a kid for summer jobs.
And I'm Ron Tomlinson. I'm the token family member.
And I guess here, why we're here today is we're doing a podcast basically to replace the town hall that we've done in the past. What we found was, and basically is why this whole thing was created, is that town hall was very official, very scripted, and lacked a little bit of content that the field guys wanted, right? So,
or a little bit of emotion.
Yeah, a little bit of jokes, everything else. So we're going to try this Fireside Chat concept here today and get going. So I guess when we look at the past year, we've had obviously some challenges and some successes. And when we think of Tomlinson, we think of our kind of our 3 pillars, which are 3 goals in the organization. Basically starting with one team where all teams are cooperating with each other for the best interest of the group. And then operational efficiency, where improve operational efficiencies with a field first mentality. And last but not least is develop our people, basically having our people build our people so that they can grow into the best that they can be in their roles or into their future roles and things like that. So I thought it'd be a good idea to go through maybe each one of those and how we performed in the last 12 months. And then we can get into some further items here. So as we get to one team, what are some of the main initiatives that we'd say we tackled in the last year?
So I can jump in as a starting point. To me, one team, I think about it like it is a team, and we all have to work together, and we win together when we cooperate together. And I see all kinds of examples of that stuff happening out on the job sites all the time. A couple of weeks ago, I was out on a job site and we had 3 or 4 different crews on the site, and I watched them share backhoes back and forth across the team. I watched them coordinating who had the vac truck for how long and how it was moving around the site and how they were moving materials around together on the site and sharing. And if you go back 10 years ago, when we first started growing and growing with a lot of different companies coming in, you didn't have that type of cooperation. But you can see now that people have really embraced this whole one team concept, that we will be better together when we cooperate and win as a team. So that's kind of how I see it happening on the job sites. And I also see it happening in the office too, where everybody's understanding that I need some help, you have some capacity. It gets us to where we need to get to faster as a group, right? So that's kind of what one team looks like for me. And you can see it at every level of the organization, right? In every different place and all around. It's great when you see it happening because you can tell that's what winning feels like, right? You can see that efficiency and that cooperation is playing out. It's really great.
Yeah, and those efficiencies get harder and harder to identify the larger you get and the bigger you grow. From a human resources perspective, like you guys interact with every team in the organization. How do you, with this one team approach, how do you guys play a part in that?
One of the things that we do every week is we have a recruiting meeting, and we talk about all of the open positions that we have across all of our various divisions and teams. And we think about who do we have currently perhaps working in environmental services that may be a good fit to move into Tomlinson infrastructure and look at where those skills can cross over. I think there's a lot of portable skills that we develop in each of our roles, and it's not always a linear approach to promotions and successions. And I think our team does a great job at looking at those crossover skills. And this year was a really good example of seeing a lot of promotions and crossover from different groups into different teams to the level I haven't seen before. So I think the exposure that Adam talks about in sharing resources and learning about what the different groups do from environmental, Tomlinson development, or whatever or Ready Mix, seeing them interact in the field has sort of over time moved them to thinking about, I could take an opportunity in Ready Mix, even though I started my career perhaps in environmental services.
And where did that concept first come from, Ron?
Well, I think when you take a look at the fact that we, purchased a bunch of businesses relatively in a short period of time, and each of those businesses, we said, okay, just run your business, and got comfortable with them. And then we tried to start interacting with those businesses with our other businesses. And there was a real hesitancy to use internal resources with each other. I wanted to use the guys I used to use. I wanted to use the guy that's potentially cheaper. I want to use my buddy. And we've seen those restrictions coming. And then we heard it from the customers, where the customers are saying, okay, great. We have you doing all the functions on this job because we like your abilities, but you're not working together as a team on the job. That really started to hit home,
Yeah.
It's more than just an internal focus at that point. The customer is seeing it. So what are we going to do to drive, the business into wanting to function together? And we take a look at what's happened, particularly, it's been over the last few years, but particularly over the last year, where we've really seen the team start to come together and understand the why and how it benefits the whole business. And you see that day to day now. Like we're starting to hit our rhythm and get there. It's been a long journey, but it's noticeable. And I'd argue that it's noticeable in the financial results too, because it's been a slower year in general, but our business has performed better. It's performed better almost in all areas because we're working together better.
And when you look back, say 12 months ago, when we sat around and we figured out what will 2024 look like, were you expecting the results or the work that we ended up doing for the year?
I know that a year ago today, we were looking forward to 2024, and what we saw ahead of us was a slower winter. The residential market really had not picked back up. House building or new homes had not really kind of picked up in the market yet. So we were trying to pivot to other markets, but it just wasn't there for the winter work, right?
Yeah.
So we were a bit nervous about what the year ahead looked like. And I knew that cascaded to other parts of our business as well, right? So that type of material sales or roll-off bin rentals to residential markets and construction probably was all slow. So we were very nervous about what that looked like. We kind of doubled down on process improvements and systems improvements. We had this initiative called Beat the Bid, which we were trying to get everybody focused on in terms of how can we really find a way to get the most out of every job that we could. And one of the things we were celebrating recently is that we had no dogs, is what we call them. And that means no jobs that really went backwards. So I found the team really dug in on all the projects that they were working on this past year, just to make sure that we didn't go backwards on anything. Every year you have a whole bunch of good jobs, and then you have a couple of jobs that did not go quite as planned. I think that planning and that work that we put in on those jobs really paid off to help us have a better than expected year, giving that heading into it, we thought we were lower on volume. And then the team kind of dug in on bidding more work and picking up stuff and trying to be strategic about picking the right types of jobs in the right places. And then we kind of got some momentum under us, and it really helped carry us forward to have a fairly successful year considering where I thought we were going to start.
And part of that obviously is people, right?
and we have an initiative to have our people grow our people, as we say. And actually, Dana and I had a nice conversation this morning about kind of what drove that in, and Ron jumped in and was talking about, you know, how we're used to hire from the farming community, and you know, that went automation, so those kids, if you will, aren't available to kind of come into construction anymore, and now we're getting people from different sources, and the skill set is very different. Everybody has skills, but they don't necessarily know how to start a lawnmower anymore, but they know all these computer skills. So passing on to Dana, I guess, a little bit, how's that changed, and how do we, you know, you're kind of in charge, if you will, of coordinating the whole group as far as getting aligned with regards to developing our staff.
Yeah. So to your point, we used to hire the farm kids that would come in with some skills that are crossover to a lot of our field roles, be that in the aggregates team or in the construction team. And some of the ways that we've tried to adapt our development and training programs to meet with the changing demographics of the people that we're pulling from is we do a lot of field first training. So for example, this year we worked with the subject matter experts within Tomlinson Infrastructure, and we created a sewer and water main training program that's a week long that taught those new people to the industry how to put in sewer and water main and then to properly remove it. And so those participants, they learned those new skills, but it also having those more senior people, those subject matter experts, teach them, they learn new skills as well as to how do I properly train somebody so that they fully understand the task at hand. We also ran a number of GPS training programs as well to deliver those skills out to the field. We invest a significant amount of time in leadership skills development. So what we try to do is we try to do a lot of training in-house ourselves. And the reason we do that is those off-the-shelf training programs that you can get, they're not necessarily tailored to the types of individuals that we have, and supervisory and management skills that you would have in a Fed management aspect isn't the same as what it looks like out in the field.
And wouldn't be consistent with our competencies, right? Like,
it doesn't match up with what our leadership competencies are or what our culture is, right? So when we're having some of our training classes and stuff, we make them really interactive. We have them we use real life examples. We have people up and moving around. So for example, if we're talking about how to give a performance review, we'll put examples up on the screen and talk about. So we have some people that put, you should quit smoking, right? And so we actually delivered that one. That's an example. And the person was in the room saying, I've had that on my performance review before. I'm like, oh, that's awkward. But then we talked about what the supervisor actually means when they say quit smoking. It's not about smoking. It's about productivity, teamwork, making sure that you're meeting the deliverables for that project for that day. And that's where the conversations have to happen. And so, or that guy's really lazy. It's okay. Well, that's not a great way to say it. We talk about efficiency, productivity, making sure that they're following the processes. So we really do try to tailor it to the types of roles that we have versus off the shelf kind of programs.
But ultimately, training needs to happen in the field. When you're doing it, like the classes that we bring forward are just to polish skills and give people the right direction. But then everything, particularly for our group, like everything needs to get learned on the job. That's the biggest benefit. And that's what we really have to drive through the organization is it's up to every one of us to teach people on the job what it is to be done. And we understand it takes time, it takes effort. But ultimately, by teaching someone to do their job or to help you do your job, gives you more time to focus on other things in the business to help grow the business.
Yeah, like the courses courses are great, but they're only 10% of that whole factor. The rest of it is on the job and peer-to-peer learning. So we give baseline tools that then lead into what you're going to do in the field. And so when you were looking at development plans and how does somebody grow in their career, the development plan is one, it's not just a set it and forget it. It's something that needs to be checked on a regular basis, and you work with your supervisor on that. But it's also about skills development. It's not about, I'm going to take these 4 courses and then I'm developed. That's not the point at all. It's about, here's the skills you need to develop. Here's some practical things that you can do in order to be successful there. Courses are just one part of it, a small part. The rest of it is about on-the-job learning, special projects, special assignments, working potentially on a sort of cross-team, cross-group type initiative so that you learn the rest of the business as well.
Well, and that's good. When you say special projects, often a supervisor will give you a project to do or give you something outside of what you normally do to see how you handle it, to stretch your own abilities to see if you can get to the next level. And it's like, that's teaching you, right?
Like a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Podcast. When you turn your eyes the other direction, try not to get caught, you get into a new project. And sometimes people don't even realize that their supervisors are doing it to build them, but it's truly what they're doing. They're trying to give you the opportunities to learn new skills, to stretch out of your comfort zone and get you to the next level.
And I think that's the key. When you are outside your comfort zone, that's actually when the learning happens. If you are fully comfortable in all the tasks that you're doing all day long, you didn't really learn anything that day. It's that stretch part that's where the true learning, making you better and being the best at your current position, if that's the position you want to be in, or if you want to move to a different group, stretching those skills and learning new things.
And that also happens in the whole organization, right? You have people say, well, when is it enough? When is it enough bidding? When is it enough expansion? When is it enough whatever? It's like never. Like, that's not what drives us. So like, what drives us is the challenge. What drives us is, okay, what can we possibly do better? How can we do it better? How do we get there? Like, it's totally driven inside this organization. Okay, what's next? Let's get at it.
I think that's our whole culture. I think you don't have a family-run business for over 70 years that just sits around and waits for stuff to happen to them.
No.
Go out and look for opportunities for improvement. Just change in general, right? It's nothing is perfect. No business in the world is perfect, and being cognizant of what the business needs to improve, and then just focusing on those small items. And each small varied team, like the teams of five, 6 people, can have a huge impact on the rest of the business if they are slightly more efficient. And we see examples of that are really happening around this business in the last 12 months. It's been actually nice to see. People are opening their eyes, and they're seeing how it's not just about their team. Their improvements impact hundreds of people out there and make projects more efficient or plants more efficient. And then at the end of the day, makes our customers just happier. We get projects delivered quicker, more on time, on budget, things like that. We don't necessarily need to have these difficult conversations about what happened. The communication is up with customers. It's been, we were really focusing in on the right things.
And I actually think that the pace of change is getting faster and faster and faster,
yes, absolutely.
Right? So part of our success is being able to keep up with that pace of change and actually get ahead of it, right? So I know sometimes people get frustrated with lots of change and improvements and tweaks and things like that. But that's kind of how we win, right? That's why our strategies are the strategies that they are. We're growing and building continuously to stay ahead, to get ahead, to keep pace and eclipse the speed of this pace of change. So I can sense the frustration when I talk to employees about something that we're pushing on. Can we get this faster? Can we do it sooner? I'm like, that's our DNA. We have to get ahead. We have to be ahead, right? We have to find ways to do it faster and better.
And it may or may not work sometimes too, right? Lots of times we work on projects that we try to build in-house or technology in particular. And by the time we get it built and functioning, there's something else out there. But at least we're trying. At least we're trying to move the dial forward. At least then we know what we need because we've gone through the development of some of it. And we get a pretty spectacular group of people in here when you think about technology and where we're going with the business and how we're building internal stuff. And the interesting thing is that, you go out to the field and you talk to a new hire foreman and he says, I said, well, what do you like about being here? He says, well, you guys got this app. Like anything I need, I just open up my phone. I punch in on the button. It says, okay, I want a wheelbarrow. And the wheelbarrow shows up the next morning. Like, how's that possible? Anywhere else I worked before, I called somebody and they may or may not have ordered it. And then they had to get approval. And then I had to drive down to the hardware store and pick it up if I really wanted it. Or like, we're getting so automated with some of this stuff. It doesn't matter what you order. It shows up on your job site. Like, here, you want ladder? Here it is. You want whatever, a core drill? Here it is. Like, you just thousands of items in a SKU. Click on a button and it ships it to your job site and charges it to your job automatically. So.
Yeah, there's a large opportunity with that business to even maybe open up into a third-party market and from some of those supplies.
Oh, absolutely.
Looked at that?
Yeah, we have. And, we're going through a SharePoint redo right now. So it's moving to SharePoint Online. As soon as SharePoint Online comes online for that business, it allows us to push those apps out externally outside of our own business, the way we built it. And then all of a sudden, then there's a customer base that can use, our materials out of a material supply and logistics and push it right to their jobs the same we're doing it now. Like, there's something like 14 or 16 delivery trucks running around the city nonstop, just delivering stuff to our own jobs.
Yeah. Just as, the tying in our existing customer base would just be the natural progression there.
Yep.
And when you have external customers that are part of a business unit that needs to sell to external parties, the feedback that you get is typically a lot more frank, not so much self-serving, but it's what the external customer needs. It typically drives improvements into that business unit or that group as well, instead of just having internally focused, right? So there's an opportunity even to improve the internal side of the stores.
No, absolutely. So
looking into next year, I guess we'd say that we had a successful year. There's no real, from what I hear anyways, it doesn't seem like there's going to be no real changes in the goals or how the strategy needs to be implemented. It's kind of a keep the course because it's working type of year. Is there a message that needs to get out there that you feel we haven't performed on with regards to the strategy?
No, strategy is always changing. When you take a look at, and the way we look at strategy is, we focus on what our strategies are going to be for a 3 or 5 year term. We kind of break those down into 90-day tactics. And then how are we going to execute on those tactics across the organization to help move the whole business forward? And it's a long process that is not easy for people to understand or adapt or really get into the rhythm of it. But as we keep building and developing our people, we slowly get better at it.
Yeah.
We're starting to execute quicker at it. And, a 90-day tactic is way easier to knock off your checklist than a big goal that nobody really knows how to break apart and get accomplished, right? So I think we're getting a lot of momentum with that. Do you agree, Adam?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, actually. It's that 90-day tactic, kind of keep pushing in the direction of the strategy, right? The reason we've picked the 3 strategies that work for us, which is grow and build our team, and then operational efficiency with a field first focus and one team cooperating, is those are the reasons that we can win. And looking into this year, we've had more success because our team is rallying around those strategies and those concepts. And so I say, let's keep doing the same thing, right? And that's what strategy is. Strategy is a bit of a long-term focus for where you're headed, but implemented in pieces and chipping away at it. And I think we have to keep chipping away on those same things. So do more of the same this year, which is doubling down on all the stuff that we've been working on. It doesn't mean we don't have more work to do. Like, we have lots of things to continue to work on here. There's no shortage. Actually, the list is longer than it could be. So it's about picking those things, moving them forward, and going in that right direction. And that's what's going to get us there.
And how do you choose the right things? Because we all have that whole giant list problem.
I have a giant list as well. It's way, way too long. Part of strategy is about picking the things that should be done. So there's a good book actually on strategy that says you have to make choices. You cannot do everything. And so the strategy is actually supposed to help guide you on the things that you choose to spend time on. So if you have 40 things on your list, he says you should be picking the things that are more closely aligned with the strategy, right? Because that is the reason, that is the way that we're going to win. So if you things that don't necessarily align, maybe not the highest priority for you to be picking, right? Because those are not the things that we think will help us win. Everybody's got a list of 40 things to do. Everybody keeps working on them. We want to line up with the strategy stuff.
And what else is going to happen this year? Like, there's a project actually. It's on in a Rito quarry at the old green asphalt plant where, we have a machine there that, a lot of people don't know what it is. A lot of groups participated into either building the foundations for this thing or just helping build it. And then it's kind of this giant secret that's going around there. But what are we trying to do? And it's a waste energy project, Ron, right? But, just for everybody listening, what's up?
We got approached by a company that had a technology that could turn waste into energy. And when I say waste into energy, they're creating a gas through pyrolysis. And the intent of that is, okay, how do we take that technology and reduce our carbon footprint in what we do today? And we have all kinds of different waste streams that we deal with through the environmental services side. But in order to prove the technology works, to prove the technology can turn and create a good clean gas, and that we truly are reducing our carbon footprint, we decided to take the asphalt plant that we have at Rito that when we put the new asphalt plant up, and we're going to use that as a test to show that the product can create heat. So we're using wood chips for now, that it can create heat in order to create a green asphalt. And that's the first test. So, can it create enough heat inside the drum? Can we create asphalt with that? And then what are the effects that those gases or that heat has on the asphalt as we produce it? So it's up, it's running. They're doing testing right now on the whole system. Unfortunately, the year's coming to an end, so we probably won't lay any actual asphalt down with it until the spring. But we'll pick a project in the spring to put the asphalt down, and then we'll test that asphalt over a period of time to make sure there's no adverse effects to it. We'll check the emissions that are coming out of it. And then we'll look to see how we can take that product and use it amongst different operations. It doesn't mean that we need to plug it into asphalt plants. It means that we have an energy source that can create gas to use anywhere. Mm-hmm. So is it get put into the pipeline? Does it get used to create hydrogen? Does it get plumbed directly into a boiler system? It's step by step. We'll focus on what it can actually do, and then the next steps to move it forward.
Yeah, I think to expand a little bit on the sustainable materials piece on the ready mix side, the guys actually just completed their 4th low carbon concrete using our Tomlinson Sustainable Solutions program that we have, and we're seeing an uptick in requests from there. So it's a natural progression that these essentially food labels for your materials are going to be required on an asphalt and an aggregate and every other material that we have from a construction project perspective. looking at these options is an opportunity for us to offer something that the market may want and, may eventually pay for as well. Right. So it's, we're looking at these things. It's interesting.
I think actually, like another thing that I thought we did a really good job on from the sustainability side this year was an idling reduction program. So we reduced a lot of idling in a lot of our equipment across the board. And like every little bit multiplied times like a couple hundred machines makes a big number by the time you get to the end of it. And we do these things because I think they make good business sense, right? Like a lot of this stuff, finding ways to reuse waste, recycling, all these types of things that are kind of core business pieces to us make a lot of sense from a business perspective, but are also very good, for sustainability in the environment. So I think we just keep chasing down these things that make a lot of sense. And that's kind of part of what's good for our business, right?
Even Listec, when you take a look at their technology and turning the biosolids into a fertilizer, there's off gassing that happens when those materials are sitting in the ponds. We're collecting those gases, and now we're generating a gas with them as well, right? So we're gonna, we're generating the gas. We're gonna run the plant off of it. We can put it back into the natural gas pipelines. So we're creating that RNG gas, and we're driving it back in. So like we keep trying to focus on areas that we know we can make a difference with our processes and our equipment to make things better.
And I would even say that because we are as vertically integrated as we are, that's where you start seeing some of these cross-team opportunities, right? Like where you could use the energy from one part of the business to the other. You can take these waste products and use them in the asphalt business or other parts of the business. Like it's that vertical integration that allows us to kind of call it a multiplier effect across the whole company.
Even the way different technologies can apply to different areas in the business, right? Like environmental might see a technology that doesn't necessarily apply for them, but it works in ready mix, right? There's a way to use it for supplement the powder. Like there's always little things that come up that, okay, it might not work in one business, but it sure can help you over here. Yeah. So how do we make that work? How do we make that connection and
keeping the guys talking to each other that operate in different teams so that we can actually know about those opportunities, right? It's very easy to say this doesn't work and it goes off into the sunset and we never hear about it again. And then multiple examples, right? 3-4 years later, we say, oh, geez, we had this, right? And now we're looking at buying it from somewhere else. So we pivot and try to create the same product that we had 4 years ago. It's getting those connections made across the different groups. I guess we've kind of covered most of what we wanted to talk about. Is there anything else that you'd want to? Obviously, we're going to wish happy holidays to everybody for sure. But in the last parting messages, maybe double down on development plans or something like that.
Double down on development plans, but take those opportunities to own your own career. Make sure you're having the conversations with your supervisor. And if you're not, go to the next level to see if you're interested in trying out new opportunities on a new team or within your own team, reach out and we can help you to achieve the goals that you're looking for.
Yeah. Like you say, you're responsible for your own career development and growth, but you have to push to get help to get it done. Like you can't do it on your own, but you have to let your supervisors know that you're interested and you want it. Almost demand it. Like we need to grow and develop people. And when you look around this organization and the people that have grown up into new roles, even just in this last year, it's phenomenal. Like there's a lot of people growing through this organization quickly because they're getting the basics and they're growing from it and they're building the skills. And it's showing in the way that the business is performing.
100%. But it's more than just one conversation. So if you told your supervisor last year, 2 years ago, that you wanted to be a foreman and you're not a foreman yet, it's okay to go back and still have that same conversation again. Things change, different opportunities come up, or they may have forgotten that that's what you wanted. So as you said, you own your own career and we can give you some tools and some guidance in order to help be successful in that. But you got to keep having the conversation.
You got to have the motivation. You got to want to have the drive to move yourself forward.
I would say on my end is continue to be open to all the different stuff that we're working on, right? Like technology, artificial intelligence is coming. To Ron's point earlier, we are continuously driving and working to get better and better and better. This is the type of place that embraces people that want to keep pushing the limits, right? So being open to that kind of stuff and being willing to try new things and help out and help push the team forward. That's the type of people we need in the organization. That's where we are going, right? And we will always keep going in that direction. So
not be afraid to try.
Yeah, there's more and more stuff coming, and it's always going to keep coming, to my point on the pace of change. And that's how our organization works, right? That's part of our success. And it's going to continue to be part of our success.
Yeah. And I'd add, I guess, from my side, I think we're successful when we operate a little bit outside the lanes of where your job description usually would guide you, helping out and going in the ditches a little bit and helping out various teams and various people across all the groups really does help drive the business forward, or drive your sub teams forward if you're looking at a smaller lens within your own divisions or your own groups or your own teams. So don't be scared to help out, sales, helping out operations, or et cetera, et cetera. It's really where we can drive the business forward.
I think that's where we've seen the most success for people is when they do step up or sort of go beyond, this is the box of my role, right? My customers are all internal facing. So they're all the employees. We have a lot of lines of businesses that are like that. And it's the people that have been the most successful here are the ones that step up, help out, act like everybody is their customer, and provide the best service or give them more information than they may even be looking for so that they can make better decisions. I think that's what makes you successful in your career and ultimately also makes the business more successful.
And it's showing the business is getting more and more successful every year.
Yeah. It's certainly getting more efficient.
Yeah. We keep doing better and better every year. And it's because we're looking at those goals. We're focusing on them. We keep that field first mentality, and we got to keep building off of it.
Any other last words before we say goodbye? No? All right. So happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for being driven, getting the job done to the highest standards this year. And we wouldn't have had the success that we had without you this year. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Are we allowed to say that?
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
All right.